Hey everyone, welcome to Class 1A. Today we have a very special episode because we're going to be diving into the 7th My Hero Academia popularity poll. I'm Dylan and I'm joined with James Graham. James, I'm pretty excited to talk about the popularity poll. These are always super fun, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a good time. It's nice. It's nice to see what the people think, dude. What you guys think, right? Well, I mean, I know this isn't you guys. This isn't a lot of our listeners, but like, it's cool to know what the community thinks of the characters of the show.
Yeah, very specifically the Japanese community who reads Shonen Jump and writes into Shonen Jump.
Yeah, that community.
Yeah, so like a subsect of the community, but I still think it reflects pretty well. So just to
Mhm.
set the stage for this, this took place at the beginning of August. So in the story, we're gonna kind of go into a little bit of spoilers just so we can contextually build up what's going on here. So if you haven't read the manga as of August of 2021, tune out now. But if you're all caught up, you're totally fine. But basically, where we're at in the story is this is coming right off of the arc, the Vigilante Deku arc. And I think this is right when Bakugo shows up with other Class 1A members to save the day. Is that correct? Is that about the time?
It's about the time. Yeah, I think it leads into their fight with that villain. I can't remember the. I don't know. I want to call him like
Dictator or Trumpet, or
the
is it
dictator. Yeah, I think it is.
Trumpet?
I mean, I think it might have been
No,
what?
not Trumpet, not Trumpet. But he has an ability that's similar to Trumpet's, but he's Dictator.
Yes, but he's dick. Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But I'm really excited to dive into this. So let's go ahead and just start talking about at least like the top couple. So
Go
the
for it.
ones I really wanted to go into were the top, let's say the top five. And we can start talking about some of them from there. So number
Cool.
one, for the sixth time, back to back to back to back champion, we have Bakugo winning. Awesome, amazing. And then number two, we have our main hero Deku. Three, we have Shoto. Four, Kirishima. And five, we round it out with Hawks. Is this surprising to you at all?
You know what? I think the only I don't think he's a shocker for us, but I'm kind of shocked the rest of the community feels as passionately about him as we do. Is Kirishima?
Oh
Like
yeah,
Kirishima, he is the most solid side character because like that has like he's got his own arc. He has a lot of moments. He had a moment basically right before this poll kind of took place where he talked about how he can't really keep up. He has a very one-dimensional quirk, all this stuff, right? So he has his moments, but he's the ultimate bro, right? So you don't really know how and where he'll land with a lot of the community, but I'm glad to see he locks in number 4.
yeah. I totally agree. I wouldn't expect him to be here, but super happy that he is because he's
Yeah.
such a good character, and it's interesting that like people love him so much, and he's not even in the top three of Class 1A, which is pretty surprising because like at least at this point in the story, most people have kind of taken a back seat to the top three and Deku. So
Pretty
it's always
much,
good to
yeah.
see him there. But as far as number one, Bakugo getting number one again. So this time he was a little bit closer to Deku, only off by about 3,000, 3,000 votes, which is pretty
Yeah.
surprising because the other ones he just blew him out of the water, like 8,000 vote leads. And during those times, we also had less of a sample size as well, because going through the popularity polls, we're just getting more and more votes as we're going along because
Right.
the fan base is growing over time. So this one's a little bit shorter, but it's I know I'm a little bit surprised. I'm a little bit surprised because like Deku should have gotten this one, right?
You would. This is it. And you know what? I think this really tracks with where we're at in this story. So we had and I think this is why it makes it close as well, is because we had this badass Deku vigilante arc. He's like an anti-hero. He's doing it like I mean, it's the most Deku thing in the world. He does it everything, and he doesn't want to hurt anybody else. Doesn't want to drag anybody else down. But it reflects incredibly heavily on him. And then you get this weird, like almost Carnage looking Deku, right? Which I think was phenomenal. He fights Muscular, he fights later Nadine Grant, which are both like really good fights. But then Bakugo just shows up, man, and Bakugo is just Deku's boy.
Yeah.
And like dude, it's that panel. It's that one panel of him saying he's going to go get him. Like that locks it in. You have what 30 chapters of just Deku being Deku, and then you just slap Bakugo in there. He gets maybe I don't know what like 6 pages
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
and then yeah, that's it, man. I think there's a lot of carryover too from like previous. Like I mean, like you said, usually he blows him out of the water, but like I mean, yeah, you don't see him for ages, and then he just comes back and swinging, and I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point of the story, like you were saying, like Deku's looking the coolest he's ever looked. Completely different art style.
Yeah,
This should have been like an easy win for him, and if he's not going to win here, I don't think there's
he's gonna.
anything the series can do unless they just purposely start writing Bakugo poorly, of where Deku would overtake Bakugo here.
Well, we've you and I were talking about this about when we were going like through the past polls, and the only one he ever lost was the first one. But it took him telling the main character to kill himself to be not number one.
And he still
So
got
now
third
we have
place.
he still got third, exactly, right? So I mean, like that's where we're at. Like I don't think you're gonna dethrone Bakugo from a popularity pool. He's too fleshed out of a character. He's too good. He's too well written. Yeah, you literally need to write him into a hole. I think to make him less effective.
Yeah, and the one thing I don't want to say I worry about, but one thing I'm feeling is that the story is like obviously it's starting to close into an ending, but I'm starting to feel like the top three are going to be very very separated from all the other votes very very soon. I mean, like the gaps are pretty
Yeah.
big as is. Like it only takes us to get down to number nine to be into the 1,000 vote range, while Baku is at
Yeah.
1,300. But I feel like it's going to get closed in as we start getting a little bit more confined, I would say. Because I'm guessing the last couple chapters are going to be like Deku, main villain, and like maybe a Bakugo and maybe a Shoto. I don't think we're going to go too like wide on the characters. So I expect like later popularity polls, like, I don't know, think about this. Maybe we only have like one left. We might only have one left.
Don't say that.
Oh
Don't
man.
say
Yeah, but
that.
that realization is making me feel something.
Oh yeah, I don't even want to think about it, man. Jesus, yeah. But you're right. Like if you look at the voting disparity, like it's number nine, and we're into the 1,000. There's a massive gap. I do want to talk about 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I
Yeah.
think I think these are really cool because Ida is still there. We talk about all the time that Ida just gets shafted. He was a main character in the beginning, and now our boy is just he's like barely there, right? Man still racks in like 4,000 votes though. Like
Yeah.
that's what I love. That's what I love about Ida.
Yeah, it is super impressive, and I don't know. He's always just been like a super solid character. I know you can't help but like love him. And so like I guess to tell everyone at home, six is number Ida, or six is Ida. Or seven is Aizawa. Eight's Present Mike. Nine is Rody, and 10 is Shinzo. And the other thing I think is kind of interesting about this is Rody being number nine. So this came like the popularity poll opened like right before the movie premiered, and so I'm guessing all of this is just based on promo material.
Yeah, because it depends on how long voting was open for.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, right? Because there's a good chance people actually got to go see the movie before they made their voting, or yeah, you just had a bunch of people who were like hype on Bakugo and they just sent it in like day one, right? So
Yeah.
I think
I
it's
think
definitely why. Go ahead, sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say I think if this comes out like a week or two later, Rhodey's way higher on this list.
100%, right? Because he was a very, very well received character that was like movie original sort of thing, right? Like, yeah, he was met with shining reviews on like, I don't know, like Melissa and stuff like that, right? Like,
Yeah, like
so
yeah, like to me, like most of the Shields was always like an okay character, but like Rhodey's like a character I really want to see again, and I really like. And very luckily, we will see him again because they just teased the team up. The next team up chapter is going to have him in it, so that's going to be pretty exciting.
yeah, that's sick too. And like, no, like Shinzo at number 10, like now we're getting into characters that people are just like diehard fans of, regardless of how often you get them. And Shinzo, I think everybody else, you're like, okay, you see enough of them that they get roped back in. I don't like. When was the last time you seen Shinzo in the manga?
So I want to do like, all right, we're gonna put on our data braids right now. So we're think like some data scientists right now.
Okay.
Why the data is showing what it's showing? I think the anime also affects this. It has to affect this too.
It has to. Yeah, you're so right. That is good. That is very true. Because this is peak Shinzo like
Yep.
showing up. Yeah, that makes sense. And it also makes sense for Aizawa and Mike as well. Because that is right around the time that we get their confrontation, right? So that has to track. That has to. You're right.
Yeah, and I mean, who out there is reading My Hero Weekly and not watching the anime? So like it has to go like that, I think.
I think that sample size or that population is probably a little bigger than we think. I know a lot of people are unhappy with the anime and how it's going and stuff like that. For whatever, I don't. You guys are. I don't. I'm not. I don't believe it, but I'm not in that camp. I love both mediums. So, But yeah. I think it's definitely a like a factor into this as well, for sure.
Yeah. And so I also just want to cherry pick through the rest of them to get some of the interesting results. One
Yeah,
thing
sure.
I don't think we got was like the 10 to 5 vote range of like the like basically the meme picks at the very low. This kind of stops at 40. I think we might get some of that later. Horikoshi usually releases those because he likes to just like talk about how
Hang
funny they
around.
are. But
Yeah.
two things that made the list that I thought were really funny was number 37 with 203 votes, Deku's freckles.
I don't like. What is that? Is that like just like 203 homies just being like, let's do this as a joke, boys. Let's do this. You know what I mean? Like,
It has to be like so. I'm guessing if people write stuff that is like kind of similar, like if they spell like you know, like if it's two names, but they're like the same person, they just combine them in, and so like
right.
it's probably something like people wrote something to the effect of Deku's freckles, but like I think it has to be like a Discord, right? A Discord of like My Hero people who like read it together or whatever is like, all right, we're gonna write this in.
Yeah, this will be great, guys. This will be great. I want to talk about number 31 because this character, like he's like I don't know what happened to him. Like Mustard, man. Like I don't know how Mustard keeps showing up. I'm pretty sure he's been on every one too. That's the crazy part.
Yeah,
Like he was just a student with a gun and some mustard gas, man. Like he is a war criminal. Like and yeah, Mustard just keeps coming back. I don't get it,
I
man.
feel like because like this is taken from like some people in Japan who read My Hero and write in. I feel like there's like memes that we're missing out on. Like the Japanese My Hero community probably has like a really good meme around Mustard, because he's just like a little guy with a gun.
Like it has to be it, man. Like I can't we have to be out of the loop on this. We got to do some digging. I don't know. We got to reach out to the community and be like, somebody's got to fill us in,
Yeah,
man. This,
we need a translator to dive over into Japan and figure out the memes for us.
yeah, yeah. I think the fact that Horikoshi's number 39 is pretty sweet too. I'm glad that people are just like, let's just show appreciation to the goat. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, people love Horikoshi. I think doubly so because he has like a decent Twitter presence too.
mhm.
He doesn't like talk a lot, like he doesn't say a lot of stuff, but he posts like a bunch of like sketches,
Yeah.
just like make small comments and stuff. And I don't know, I love that. Like I love the fact that like at this point this is like top 5 manga at least right now, at the very least. But like writing something that's such a huge hit like My Hero and just being able to like tweet stuff out and like still engage with the community is so cool.
Yeah, it shows a good balance. I know he works a lot. Like I know he's very motivated, and I think he's only taken like 1 or 2 weeks off here and there to basically just give himself a break, sort of thing. But yeah, it happens very rarely. Yeah, I think I actually saw recently that My Hero is the fifth highest like manga selling of all time. I think in Japan or
Hmm.
worldwide, one of the two. But yeah, it's doing incredibly well. So for him to actually, because he does these great sketches, like I think the most recent one he put out was like Jiro. He did one for Halloween. Like I mean, yeah, he's always giving like everybody these sketches, just like this little extra piece of content, right? Which is great.
Yeah, and so now that we talked really highly of Horikoshi, time to be critical of him, because
Oh
looking
no.
through this list, it takes us all the way to get to number 12, to get to Uraraka, the first
Yeah.
woman on this list who is like, I don't want to say she's like a main character, but like she kind of is a main character. She's supposed to be like Deku's like number one love interest and like
Yeah.
someone that we see the most of, and it takes all the way to 12 to get to her, which I don't think is a reflection on the community, more so like the direction that we've been going in, um, with a lot of like the women characters in My Hero. I think Horikoshi, like, not intentionally, like, obviously there's no malice behind this,
Mhm.
but the way that he writes his women characters is you have a lot of male characters being front and center doing a lot of action. They're always the ones defeating the villains. They're always getting the fight scenes. Think about like the manga, and when's the last time we had a really good fight that just focused on like one of our women characters? I think the last one was maybe Mirko.
Yeah, it was Mirko was the last. I mean, we had Lady Negrant, who was a villain, but she was still very cool. She was very like I think she was a very good character to be introduced. But yeah, as far as the heroes, yeah, I think it was Mirko, right? And
Yeah,
Mirko
and
is
in
like
all those
way down the
situations,
list.
they always have to lose too. Like we very rarely see them winning. And then the only time where they do get the spotlight, it's to do like emotional labor for Deku. Basically, with like
Yeah.
Uraraka's big moment that came up, which I think it makes sense for her character, and that's something that should happen. But like, it just sucks that we don't get to see Uraraka doing cool things anymore, like getting into the fight and actually having cool fight scenes. Um, and like I said, I don't think it's like an intentional thing, but like I think because of like all of that, you can kind of feel it in the popularity poll, because maybe Uraraka gets a lot more fight scenes. Like maybe she does really cool stuff during the war arc, and she's higher up on this list.
Yeah, I think you're very right there. I I don't I and I'm very curious like why like even if we're looking at like a an overview of the entire series, like why isn't one of like why wasn't Shoto like a female character? Or why wasn't Bakugo like a female character? You know what I mean? Like I mean Bakugo, I think there's a bit of debate because of how he was written, but I think some of these characters could have been a more like frontliney, I guess. So I'm kind of it's kind of a bummer, right? Like I mean even the Aizawa present Mike relationship, like one of them very like you could have gender swapped one of them and it wouldn't have been I don't think it would have been a big deal, right? Like it wouldn't feel out of place to have a very prominent teacher who is like a, you know a woman, right? So yeah, even thinking of like the teaching staff, like Midnight and
Which, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah, man,
and
like
like
it,
yeah, it's definitely tough, and especially with like with having a cast that's so big. Early on, we have a lot of really cool moments with like Jiro and Uraka and Momo, and they do a lot of really cool stuff. But as you start getting closer to the end of the story, unfortunately, just a symptom of writing so many characters, you have to kind of start. I don't want to say like forgetting some of them, but you got to forget some of them and focus on the main characters. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. And so like because like the top three are all our guy characters, like that is just the symptom of having to go towards that. Which is like I said, it's unfortunate. But like I think you can very clearly spot the reasons why we're moving in that direction.
yeah, absolutely. And like, yeah, I just want to kind of hammer home too. Like, I don't think it is out of any degree of malice or anything like
No,
that. Like,
no.
it's just, yeah, absolutely.
It is a bit unfortunate, but um, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with the way the list has kind of panned out. It's very funny, and like I said, I really hope that we do get some of the meme ones coming out from Horikoshi's Twitter, because those are always super funny. But you know what I want to do before My
Mm.
Hero ends? We need to manipulate the polls. We need to manipulate the polls and get something real good up there. If you could, okay, so like if you could inject 500 votes to any topic, what would it be? Or like anything, what would it be?
Any, if I could oh my God. Oh, that is, I don't know. Like, we talking like any, I guess, yeah, because like
Like
500
like like
gets
you
you
have
like
the power to
3 IM.
say like tell 500 people to write anything in that they wanted. What would you tell them all to write in?
QED.
Oh my god, that's such a good one. That is such a good one, actually. I love that. Just QED.
QED, man, that's all you need. What about you? Do you get anything off the top of the head?
Yeah, mine would be Little Genist. The best genius little toy. Absolutely that.
Jesus Christ. Okay, all right. I like that. I can get behind that.
But no, yeah. Overall this is pretty good, and like I said, I think this is going to be the second to last one. I think, because these are yearly, so we'll probably see one next year, and then by the time I don't think we'll get to another year before My Hero ends. I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think we're there. I think we're yeah by mid because these come out like in the middle of the year ish, right? Like so. Yeah, I think next year will probably be our last one, which is going to be crazy. We got to see if Bakugo can be like the 7-time all I don't know all weight defending title holder.
yeah. Which would I think he's gotta be able to hold the title, which would be really funny. Like at this point, like if we start feeling the rumblings, that's like okay, this is definitely the last one. The Bakugo fans will not let him lose.
No,
They
no,
are rabid.
exactly right.
They are absolutely
Yeah,
rabid.
yeah, and we're a part of that. We contribute to that. I don't know. I'll mail something to Shonen Jump. Like I'll jump in on that. I don't care.
I'm gonna mail them a box just full of Bakugo fan art and be like, "Why did you send this?"
They'll count them all as individual votes though.
Yes. All right. So I think we got to the end here. Is there anything else that you want to talk about with the poll before we wrap?
The fact that Jiro made the list at all is very surprising to me, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's like clearly people just have their favorite characters and they're gonna write them in whenever.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But with that, we're going to wrap up the video here. Thank you all so much for watching. We here at Class 1A, we do a ton of My Hero stuff. Everything about My Hero you can think of, even diving into the popularity pools like we did today. So if there is a thing that is My Hero, we will probably talk about it and discuss it. So make sure you're subscribed, and we will see you all next class.